All right, let's move to Saturday. Here we go, right in your wheelhouse. Let's go Big Ten. We got a couple good Big Ten games to look at.
Yes, we
Penn
do.
State and Michigan State.
Oh,
So is the story here the game, or is the story here the two coaches running around the sidelines holding up the lottery tickets they have? Because we got like $200 million in coaching salaries on the line. James Franklin gave you a textbook on how to, well, let me say this. He gave about as bad of answers as you can give when somebody asks you if you're staying or leaving. He couldn't have handled that any worse.
yeah.
They were clearly negotiating and using leverage. He's staying, massive new contract at Penn State. Does that stabilize them? Does that matter? Does Michigan State get worried after getting beat by 3,000 points last week by Ohio State? So I've got numbers here too. Just overall mindset. Two coaches making billions of dollars. Michigan State rattled. Penn State, are they any good? What do you have here? Just initial thoughts.
So it comes out yesterday that Franklin got the 10-year contract. It's good until 2031. But then it really came out that it's like 2 years and then another option, and then or the third year has another option. And they're guaranteeing $70 million. They have to pay him $70 million. It's
more than that. It's the whole contract. It's the entire contract is guaranteed.
It's ridiculous.
If they fire him, it's the entire contract from wherever it is.
Yeah. I guess that's why he changed agents. That was amazing. Somebody else put it out, but I'm more excited that I get to bet Penn State season wins under for the next decade because he's got Franklin as the coach. So I hope that Tucker got that contract lined up before he got 59 hung on him in that game, like, or 53, whatever it was. I know they only got 7. It was 49-0 at halftime. 56. I have no idea how that affects the game on the field. I know it has to affect the prep going into the game. I would assume Michigan State might be a little more motivated in this game, the players, because that was just, I mean, like, you're ready for ideally your biggest game in the year, and you're not. You got housed. It was 49-0. Yeah. I mean, they had no answers. But you said it, you pointed it out that their pass defense was really bad. Like,
worst in the country. And yards per game, worst in the country.
And Ohio State exploited it. Penn State's not going to be able to do that. They don't pass it like Ohio State. What's a number look here? Because the game's picked. I mean, it's slid already now to Penn State -1. There's a Penn State -2 out there. Like, all the early money so far is all on Penn State. And the total Big Ten game, 51.5. Let's see exactly. I'll get you a number to think. Yeah, 51.5 we'll call it, because there's some 52s, but we'll call 51.5.
Couple numbers to look at. Injuries concern me a little bit for Michigan State. You know, Kenneth Walker's the engine that drives that team. 1,500 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns, probably has done enough to get an invite to New York for the Heisman, even though he may not win it after last week's performance. Just 6 carries, 25 yards against Ohio State, sat out most of the second half, may have a little bit of an ankle. Questions around receivers for Michigan State as well. Jaden Reed sat out the second half of Ohio State, had a boot on his foot. Jalen Naylor hasn't played since the end of October. So I'm worried about the offensive injuries potentially for Michigan State. But here's what I think, Dave. Penn State's only allowing 3.5 yards per rush as well. So decent run defense. You mentioned the offense for Penn State. It's senior night in East Lansing. If the injuries are okay, I know that's a big if. Senior night in East Lansing off a terrible performance when everybody was watching you. That has to be a buy low on Michigan State. Give me the home dog, right? Isn't that the scenario you want? Buy low on a team that's had a great year, going for his 10th win against in what is basically a coin flip game, home senior night points. I've got to go that side, don't I?
Absolutely. I like Michigan State in the game. Newbie was at the Penn State Rutgers game last week. Newbie, what's the quarterback situation for Penn State?
So nothing has been announced. I think if you're Franklin, you just roll with the true freshman quarterback, the guy out of Canada. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name because then the listeners will even take less credence in anything that I say. But he was Dyson, man, and I don't think you need to go back to Clifford. So I would stick with the true freshman. Nothing been announced yet, though, Dave.
Well, that tells me if there's any hint that he's going to play and the money has moved already toward Penn State, somebody likes him. All right. But again, if that is the case, we're going to start him on the road at Michigan State on senior day after the thumping that they took. I'm leaning Michigan State B How right now. I'm leaning under as well. I think Penn State's defense slows down. I don't think they stop. I think they slow down Michigan State. This looks more like a typical Big Ten game, in my opinion. First team to 30 wins. The other team doesn't get 30. 28, 24, 28, 21, somewhere in that neighborhood, 27, 21, bunch of field goals. Game under, Michigan State wins, in my opinion.
I'm with you, but check the injury news first, right? If Kenneth Walker's out, that's a whole different deal. That would also
he got to play.
Penn State too, if somebody knows something there. So check Kenneth Walker. To me, is even the bigger injury story in that game.
Right. Okay.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, click on another video right here on the screen. And if you really liked it, consider subscribing below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.